Assalamu alaikum. A very good morning to all. I hope you all are fine. I hope you all have done or completed your last week home assignment that was from the letters to sovereigns of different countries. Today the topic is the Battle of Khyber, and its objective is the introduction of the battle and to describe the passion of Muslims for jihad. In this lesson, we will discuss the background, what were the causes of the war of Khyber, and what kind of ways the Prophet ﷺ have used in this battle and departure of Muslims for Khyber, and who was the Banu Ghatfan tribe and what was their failure, Fort Khamus and Hazrat Ali, and what was the behavior of our Holy Prophet ﷺ to the prisoners of Khyber. Let's see in what was the background. So before moving to the whole story of the Battle of Khyber that was fought in the year 628 between the Muslims and Jews. In this year 628 CE, the Muslims had three groups of enemies: Quraysh, Jews, and Banu Ghatfan tribe. Before moving towards the Jews and the Banu Ghatfan tribe, let's have a look on the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, because it was a very important event in Islam. It was the 6th year of Hijrah since the Prophet ﷺ and his supporters had left the beloved city of Makkah, and they were very eager. They were eager to visit the Holy Kaaba and perform tawaf. The pagans of Makkah had meanwhile confronted Muslims 3 times in the Battle of Badr, Battle of Uhud, and Battle of Trench. So all were battles between the Quraysh and the Muslims. Muslims were still not strong enough to dare counter-attack on the large force of Quraysh, the large force of the Makkah pagans. The Hudaybiyah encounter occurred meanwhile that not only gave Muslims courage to go ahead with the mission, but it also tested the courage and faith in Islam. In the 6th year after Hijrah, Muhammad ﷺ dreamed that he and his followers were entering Mecca and performing tawaf. It was a good sign, and hence he declared his plan to visit Mecca to perform Umrah. Over 1400 Muslims dressed ihram with him, and from Medina they took their animals with them for sacrifice. As per established practice, the Meccans were bound to allow pilgrims coming but without arms to perform Umrah. But due to the huge Muslim presence, the Quraysh leaders decided not to allow them from entering the city and sent Khalid bin Walid with 200 fighters to stop them. The Holy Prophet ﷺ then changed the route of Tanim to avoid confrontation and came to the lesser known place called Hudaybiyah on the western edge of the city. The Holy Prophet ﷺ and Suhail ibn Amr negotiate the terms of peace with the Prophet ﷺ, and the terms and condition in the peace agreement was: there will be an armistice between the two parties, no fighting for the next 10 years. Any person or tribe who wishes to join Muhammad and to enter into the agreement with him is free to do so. Likewise, if any Meccan went to Medina, then Muslims would return. The Muslims would return him to Makkah. But if any Muslims from Medina went to Makkah, he would not be returned. If any young man or one whose father is alive goes to Muhammad without permission from his father or guardian, will be returned to his father or guardian. But if anyone goes to the Quraysh of Makkah will not be returned. The last one was very important. This year, the Muslims will go back without entering Makkah, but next year, Muhammad and his followers can enter Makkah, spend 3 days, and perform the Umrah. Apparently, it was an agreement that went against the wishes of the Muslims, but later it turned out to be a great victory for Muslims. The Prophet ﷺ at this time showed extreme patience by accepting all these terms as dictated. This treaty is known as the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. It was one of the most outstanding events and proved to be a turning point in the Islamic history. It was really a great triumph of Prophet ﷺ after the peaceful armistice at Hudaybiyah. Islam increased in leaps and bounds. A Muslim had full liberty to preach Islam. These three battles of Quraysh against Muslims were lost. Now this treaty was important because due to this peace agreement, Sulh Hudaybiyah, the Quraysh and Muslims of Medina conflict ended. Now, come to the point of the Battle of the Khyber. Now, why it's important to attack on it? Let's see. As the Khyber was the word of Hebrew language that means fort, and it is situated at a distance of nearly 150 kilometers to the north from Medina. At first, there were burnt mountains of lava and seven valleys between them. And there were about 100 streams and many lakes. So, and it was this land was very fertile land, and the Khyber was inhabited by Jews who were strong in their defense, and they have the commercial activities. So due to their commercial activities, they had a lot of luxury goods and balls of cloth, and they have caused the hostility and persecution in many other countries. The Osseous divided into 3 regions. Each of these regions contained several fortresses or redoubts, including homes or storehouses and stables. Each fortress was occupied by a separate family and surrounded by cultivated fields and palm trees. And in order to improve their defensive capabilities, fortresses were raised up on hills. As you can see in this picture, that the fortress, it's one of the picture from your book, that fort or fortress was built on the mountain for their defensive capabilities or system. So as we know that the Jews were, so what was the cause? During the auspicious era of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, the area of Khyber, as we know, the under control of Jews and their various families had established their small principalities in these forts. These people were constantly hatching conspiracy against Muslims after the migration of Holy Prophet ﷺ to Medina. And when Banu Nazir tribe was exiled from Medina, they also came and settled here and started plotting against the Holy Prophet. When enemy tribes of Makkah attacked Medina, these Jewish tribes were the ones that set them up and encouraged them in the Battle of Trench, and these Jews were very wealthy and very fertile. To know about that, the Prophet ﷺ had also sent them a letter for the invitation of Islam, but they did not accept the invitation and nor apologize for the inciting against the enemies. So it is very so they become the most dangerous enemies of Islam, and Medina was invaded in many ways by Khyber. So Prophet ﷺ decided to attack on it. So let's see the departure of our Holy Prophet ﷺ. It was the 7 Hijri Muharram of 7 Hijri, almost 1.5 months after returning from Hudaybiyah with troop of 1600 companions. The Holy Prophet ﷺ set out for Khyber. When they reached Sehba, a place near Khyber, it was time for Asr prayers. It was time for Asr prayers. The Holy Prophet ﷺ led the Asr prayers. Everyone in the army had only sattu. Now look at the passion of the Muslim, that they had only the sattu, a drink which is made of roasted grain flour, as we all know what is sattu. So they drink it, and moving on, they saw the building of Khyber. The Holy Prophet ﷺ then stopped to offer the following supplication, and the words are, O Allah, we pray for welfare of this city, its inhabitants, and all the things in it, and we beg you to protect us from all evils. So Prophet ﷺ prayed to Allah, and in the morning the Holy Prophet ﷺ attacked the name Nain in Khyber, that the name of fort. In this battle, Hazrat Mahmud Musallama fought with great courage and valor, but a Jew dropped the stone wheel on him above from the fort and martyred him. But soon after this, the fort was captured, and many other forts fell out one by one. Here is in front of you a map of the Battle of Trench, not the Battle of Khyber, just because to show that this is the Banu Ghatfan tribe, and this is the mountain because they were in the northwest of Medina. They were mountain of Uhud and the Quraysh encampment, and the Sahaba, and this is the Medina place, and the Banu Qurayza, who was also involved in the who also involved against plotting the Muslims. So this is the map or Battle of Trench. Now have a look on the failure of Banu Ghatfan. What was the failure of Banu Ghatfan? How they failed in this battle. Let's see. As we know that the Jews and the Banu Ghatfan, basically the Bedouin area, number two, they were also the two groups who were still against the Muslims, and Jews and the Bedouin. Specifically, Bedouin had the Banu Ghatfan group, where they lived in the northwest of Medina, as I show you in the map. And they robbed the people. Their main purpose of Banu Ghatfan group was they robbed the people, and they had also a strong army. And they were it was the tribe who also helped the enemies of Muslim in the Mecca and in the Battle of Trench by supplying 2,000 soldiers and 300 horsemen. After the peace agreement, Muslims could establish peace with Quraysh, as we discussed, who had largest and strongest the army in the whole Arabia. But the problem, the group of these two groups were still there, and Jews and Bedouin, who were not happy with the peace agreement Sulh Hudaybiyah or Treaty of Hudaybiyah. So the Khyber Jews tribe and the Banu Ghatfan group planned to attack Medina in order to destroy the Muslims permanently. And Jewish tribe started a large-scale military army against the Muslims. They wanted the help from Banu Ghatfan. So this is the reason why I am describing the whole background. They the for in order to destroy Muslim, they started planning against it, and they wanted Jews wanted the help from Banu Ghatfan on their scale in order to fight against the Muslims by promising half of produce from Medina. And Jews had also the support of fake Muslims who told them who informed every move of Muslims. So for this purpose, Prophet ﷺ decided to attack on it, and the Muhammad ﷺ first stop was Al Raji, in the valley of Al Raji, which was in between the Banu Ghatfan tribe and Khyber. After listening and saying the presence of the Muhammad ﷺ, the Banu Ghatfan decided not to help the Jews at Khyber, and they were very scared, and they just denied their promise. So that's why they opened the door for the entrance of the Muslims. There is a picture of Fort Kanus, you can see, which was covered with the palm trees, and this is a fort, and it was a very strong fort almost. And here we can see the role of Hazrat Ali as well. From the defense point of view, this was considered to be the strongest of the fort of the Khyber, and Jews had concentrated on spending all their resources on it. The siege continued for almost 20 days, and the Holy Prophet ﷺ sent many of his companions to attack this fort, but to no avail. Then one day the Holy Prophet ﷺ said, "Tomorrow I will give the flag to a person who loves Allah and His Messenger, and who in turn is loved by them. Inshallah, the fort will be won by him." The companions were very anxious, and they spent the night in interest, and each one waited and wondered as to who would be honored. In the morning, the Prophet ﷺ called Hazrat Ali and gave him the flag and said, these lines are very important. First, invite them gently to accept Islam. If even one of them accepts the faith as true, it is better for you than red camels. So this shows us that Prophet ﷺ and Islam is the religion of peace. They were not in the favor of war. They were not in the favor of any battle. So this was the important message for us. At this time, Hazrat Ali also had a problem of eyes infection. Then our Holy Prophet ﷺ took some of his saliva on his eyes and prayed for him. His eyes healed immediately. Then Hazrat Ali entered the grounds of the fort and positioned his flag. The famous Jewish wrestler, whose name was Mehrab. Mehrab, wearing 2 pieces of armor with 2 helmets on his head and 2 swords hanging on his side. A spear means a weapon which has a pointing end. A spear in hand, chanting martial songs, advanced and attacked him. In turn, Hazrat Ali slashed at his head with his sword so forcefully that it split in 2. Then, thus, in accordance with what the Prophet ﷺ had foretold. The fort was captured by Hazrat Ali. After this triumph, this victory, backbone of enemies' resistance were broken and Jews surrendered, laid down their arms. And in this battle, 93 Jews were killed and 15 Muslims were martyred. And they also Jews also requested to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam what they requested in they requested to let them stay there in the land of Khyber. Then in return they would give half of fruits and grapes from which they produced. The Prophet ﷺ accepted their proposal and let the Jews live in peace and security in new Muslim state called Khyber. It was very good land. The Muslim got a lot of dates and grains, gold, weapons and prisons in this battle, and thus from this land, so that Mecca Muslims and migrants Muhajirin became economically self-sufficient, and so Muhajirin did not depend on Ansar anymore. And after the conquest of Khyber, the Prophet ﷺ also distributed its land among Muslims, and Hazrat Umar got the best orchard. And he donated that land as charity. In among the prisons, so let's see what was the behavior of our Holy Prophet to the prisoners, and who was the important present here. That among the prisoners of the war of the Khyber was Hazrat Safiya, the daughter of Hayy ibn Akhtab, the leader of the tribe of Banu Nazir. That I told you, the Banu Nazir was the tribe who was exiled from Medina due to their evil acts. They were against the Muslims, and they were also involved in the plotting in the killing of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And she was a daughter of that leader of that tribe. And then the companions of the Holy Prophet ﷺ suggested that since she was the daughter and the wife of the leaders, she should not be given anyone else as a slave, but kept in his own household. Now here are a very important message for us, that Prophet ﷺ said to Hazrat Safiya, if she wanted to keep her religion, she will not be forced to accept Islam. But if she accepted Islam, then it will be better for her. And again, the Prophet ﷺ, at this time, she immediately swore allegiance to Islam. So allegiance means they had taken the oath at the hands of the Muhammad. And the Holy Prophet then said, if you wish to return to your family, we will arrange for your return, or if you wish, I will give you freedom and marry you. So then Hazrat Safiya preferred the last option and was thus honored with the status of the mothers of believer, Ummul Mu'mineen. In the last line, you have a table also where you can see the date of this battle, and you can see the behavior of our Holy Prophet ﷺ, that our Islam is the real religion, is the religion of peace. And here your homework questions are: what were the causes of Battle of Khyber? The key points that I'm going to tell you. The key points are that they were involved in hatching conspiracy against Muslims, and Banu Nazir tribe was exiled Medina, who came and settled there, as the Jews were very strong by their strong in their defense system. They had many forts and fortresses, and where they have small principalities, and they were not happy with the agreement of peace agreement, and they had also planned with the Banu Qatfan tribe to attack uh, on the Muslim. And Banu Qatfan was the tribe who was involved in the Battle of Trench and by supplying 2,000 soldiers. So both were still the enemies of Muslims. And the question number two is, which important person was among the prisoners of Khyber? How did the Holy Prophet ﷺ treat that person? Now this is all from my side. Thank you very much. Till then, have a good day. Allah Hafiz.